NoDQ.com live recap of Monday Night Raw for December the 13th, 2021, as we continue on the road to WWE Day 1. Shout out to everybody in the chat room, whether you're watching this live or on demand. I appreciate your viewership and support. Let's get right down to this Raw recap. We started off Raw with footage from last week with Bobby Lashley taking out the Day 1 WWE title participants, the champ Big E, Seth Rollins, and Kevin Owens. Lashley and MVP came down to the ring, talked about how Lashley was disrespected for not being part of the Day 1 match to begin with. But Lashley is not going to complain. Instead, he is going to make a statement. And they insisted on him being added to the Day 1 match. That's when Kevin Owens arrived and said that him and Seth Rollins actually earned their way into the title match. Lashley did not. Rollins then arrived and said while he admires Bobby Lashley's suit game, he has to agree with Kevin Owens. Lashley said if they have a problem with him being part of the match, they could get in the ring and do something about it. That's when Kevin Owens said that they could take out Lashley and told Seth Rollins to go first. Rollins and Owens argued about who was going to get in the ring first, and that's when Big E arrived and said he has no problem beating Bobby Lashley one more time. Adam Page and Sonya Deville arrived and basically said that Lashley would be added to the Day 1 match if Bobby Lashley could run the gauntlet and beat not one, not two, but three guys in one night. If Bobby Lashley could beat Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins, and Big E, he would be added to the match at Day 1. And backstage, it was determined that Kevin Owens would be first up, but that would happen a little bit later in the show. We had footage shown of Randy Orton and Riddle from earlier in the day. Once again, Randy Orton wants the tag team titles to be the priority. Matt Riddle had some other ideas, like maybe they could start doing podcasting since Pat McAfee signed this huge podcasting deal with FanDuel. Riddle thought maybe they should do the same, but Orton doesn't want to do any of that. He just wants to focus on winning and wants Riddle to focus on his match against Otis. And that led to our first match, Riddle versus Otis. By the way, it was originally scheduled to be a tag team match to determine the next contenders for the titles. The Street Profits were going to be facing the Mysterios, but apparently there were injuries, and Montez Ford did not wrestle this past weekend at the WWE Live events. Angelo Dawkins did in a singles match against AJ Styles. That match has been postponed. The tag match has been postponed until 2 weeks from tonight. That will be, I think, December 27th? That'll be the tag match to determine RK-Bro's next challengers. Anyways, in the meantime, we had Riddle versus Otis. Orton was out there at ringside. Otis slammed Riddle into the barricade. He charged at Riddle, but Riddle was able to move, and Otis hit the ring post. Riddle hit some knees. He hit the floating bro, and then he was going to go for the RKO, but Otis caught him with a power slam and picked up the 1-2-3 clean as a sheet victory over Riddle. After the match was over, Riddle tried to, Randy Orton got in the ring and tried to hit Otis with an RKO, but Otis was able to push Orton away. Orton ended up giving Chad Gable an RKO, but then Otis took out Randy Orton with a back elbow. Then Otis and Chad Gable took their leave. I guess we'll see these guys perhaps get a tag team title match. Maybe it'll be a triple threat at day one. Who knows at this point? I really don't care. I'm just waiting for something to happen here with Randy Orton and Matt Riddle. I want to see Matt Riddle turn heel on Orton and go full badass and drop the whole comedy thing. We had Bianca Belair in a rematch against Doudrop. Doudrop has new entrance music, but did not help her in this match. Bianca tried to body slam Doudrop pretty early on. Bad idea. Doudrop dominated for a while, but then as she was going for the Vader bomb, Bianca caught her, power bombed her, and then went up top, hit a 450 splash, and got the win over Doudrop. So like I said, the new entrance music did not help Doudrop whatsoever. And then Doudrop attacked her after the match. I don't care. As far as I'm concerned, Bianca beat her. And I have no further desire to see these two in the ring. Just saying. They did have a good match in Saginaw, though. I was there for that. And pretty solid match between them. I just think that it's done now. Bianca won. Let's move on. We saw a shot of Gable Steveson, the Olympic gold medalist, at ringside. And then we had Kevin Owens versus Bobby Lashley, the first of 3 matches for Lashley. Lashley gave a fist bump to Gable Steveson, maybe a little tease of them being together in the Hurt Business or something. I don't know. Rollins and Big E were watching the match backstage, the usual, watching on the monitor sideways. Back and forth match here for a while. And then Lashley hit a dominator. Owens was able to counter the Hurt Lock with a roll-up, but was not able to put away Lashley. Lashley then hit his spine buster and then went for the Hurt Lock again. And before he could even get it fully on, Kevin Owens tapped out. And I was fine with this. I like this finish because Owens knows that he could risk injury if he's in the Hurt Lock. So he might as well just submit right away and save his spot. He has his spot at the pay-per-view. So I get this finish. I was fine with this. Lashley picks up the first win here. Kevin Owens trying to preserve his body for the title match at day one. I totally get it. No issues with this. This was fine. We then had Becky Lynch come to the ring for a promo. And she said that if Liv Morgan had won last week on Raw, the fans would have started turning against Liv Morgan. They don't know what they want, according to Becky. And she said that people just have opinions. They wanted Becky back, and then they started criticizing her. She showed a screenshot of the angry Liv fan from last week. And then Liv interrupted, said that the only person doubting her is Becky Lynch. And she showed a screenshot of Becky grabbing the rope last week, cheating to retain her title. Liv said that Becky is the best at cheating. And she knows she can beat Becky. She wants another match at the day one pay-per-view. By the way, there was a fan who stuck her tongue out at Liv Morgan, a Becky Lynch fan. And that was maybe the greatest fan reaction we've had in several years. That was awesome. That fan was great. Didn't really do Liv Morgan any favors, because I think a lot of us were probably sticking our tongues out at Liv Morgan too. Like, just get off our television screen already. With all due respect to Liv, like this promo was just kind of rough, and they had a brawl. They got in the ring. Well, Liv got in the ring. They fought for a while, and then they were on the outside of the ring. Becky got the upper hand. She used the steel steps on Liv's arm, and then she actually tripped at one point. Becky fell down and accepted the match after she injured Liv's arm. It will take place at WWE Day 1. And she got on the mic, or I'm not sure if she got on the mic or not. Maybe she did. Either that or she said it into the camera, but she said she was going to go back and hang out with her hot husband and beautiful baby. Yeah, so we got the rematch at day one. Segment really did nothing for me. The saving grace of this segment, like I said, was that Becky Lynch fan at ringside that stuck out her tongue at Liv Morgan. Darren says, who is a true credible challenger for Becky? Could have been Rhea Ripley, but we'll get to that in a few minutes. Maybe Asuka whenever she comes back. Ronda Rousey if she comes back for WrestleMania. That would be an obvious match. Walter Cruz says it was on the mic, so there you go. Becky got on the mic and said she's going to go hang out with her hot husband and beautiful baby. Darren says, I am so tired of Becky. She is so stale. Well, this heel turn is just not working. People want to cheer Becky Lynch, bottom line. And people do like Liv, but I think they're going to cheer Becky over Liv at this stage of the game. We had AJ Styles backstage with Omos, and Styles said he's not ready to give up on them. He said that he brought Omos to the fold because he wanted to give back, and said that Omos is a good kid, wants to see him succeed, and Omos apparently accepted AJ's, I guess, apology, put his arms around AJ, and the two of them left together. For now, all is right between AJ and Omos, but we'll see how long that lasts. And then we had a segment outside somewhere in St. Paul, Minnesota. Very cold there. Reggie was with Dana Brooke, the 24/7 champion. I guess he's asking her on a date, wanting to go out for hot chocolate. R-Truth and Tozawa then showed up in their costumes. Tamina tried to pin Dana Brooke again, but Dana managed to escape with Reggie, and Tozawa and R-Truth started yelling at each other again. I don't care about the 24/7 title. You know, the segments, they've gone stale. They've been stale. Whatever. We had Damian Priest and Finn Balor up against Rudolph, Dolph Ziggler, and Bobby Roode. Man, did Balor ever look like a jabroni in this match. So Damian Priest was kicking ass, beating up both Rudolph guys, but then Roode hit a spine buster on Priest on the outside. Balor was left in the ring. He was going up against Ziggler, and that's when Austin Theory showed up. Austin Theory tried to get a selfie of himself with Balor, and Balor, stupid babyface, got distracted, and then he got hit with the zigzag and got pinned. Yes, Finn Balor got pinned by a zigzag. I'm not sure the last time the zigzag actually beat somebody, but it happened on this show. Finn Balor gets distracted and loses. The veteran Finn Balor. Yeah. And then afterwards, Theory took a selfie with Balor's body. Backstage, we had Nikki Cross doing her usual thing. Nikki Ash saying she's trying her best. She has Rhea Ripley's back. Yada, yada, yada. And then we had Rhea Ripley versus Queen Zelina. Carmella introduced Zelina. Zelina cut this promo, ripping into St. Paul for being cold, ripped into Minnesota. And then we had our match, which went like a minute. The promo was longer than the match. Carmella got on the apron right away. Nikki was chasing her. They were both in the ring. Carmella kicked Nikki. Rhea Ripley was checking on Nikki's condition. Distraction, 2 matches in a row. Stupid babyface. Zelina rolls up Rhea Ripley and gets the pin. Even though Zelina Vega is not even 5 feet tall, Rhea Ripley's way stronger, way bigger than her. Zelina Vega with a roll-up was able to keep Rhea Ripley's shoulders down for a count of 3. I'm sorry, I do not buy it. This was crap. This was a garbage segment. 2 in a row, actually. You made Finn Balor look like a goof, and then you did the same thing with Rhea Ripley, the one person who could probably be a credible challenger for Becky Lynch, and well, She just lost to Zelina Vega in 45 seconds. So yeah, this sucked. Darren says Nikki needs to turn either badass or turn on Rhea Ripley. I mean, they need to get rid of the superhero thing. They should have done that a long time ago. Walter Cruz sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that, Walter. I very much appreciate it. He says, Austin versus Balor screams pre-show for day one. Yeah, you're probably right on that. And we got more stuff with Austin Theory, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, would not shock me if that's the kickoff match for day one. I could definitely see that happening. Marquand 1976 with a $5 super chat. Thank you. I appreciate that. Says, hey, Aaron, you need to sell a stupid babyface t-shirt. I might just have to do that. We might have to get one of those made at some point. Thank you. Thank you for the idea. I will definitely take it under advisement. We had Seth Rollins backstage with Kevin Owens, and Rollins said he does not want Kevin Owens anywhere near the ring for his match. He said he will figure out how to beat Bobby Lashley by himself. We then had Rollins versus Lashley, the second match in Lashley's gauntlet. Rollins sent Lashley into the ring post, tried to take a cheap count-out victory, but Lashley got back in the ring, got the upper hand, and then Owens came down to the ringside area, attacked Rollins, causing a disqualification, which actually makes sense. MVP was furious, as you would expect him to be. Owens was given the thumbs up, but then the party poopers arrived, Sonya Deville and Adam Pearce. They said it was a pretty clever idea, but guess what? They were going to restart the match, and it was going to be a no DQ match. Match was restarted, and immediately Lashley hit a spear to Seth Rollins and picked up the 1-2-3 victory. Lashley now advances. Again, this was fine. I really did not have an issue with this storyline. Owens tried to outsmart everybody, and the authority figures were having none of it. So this was fine. Austin Theory was backstage. He interrupted a Vince McMahon conversation with Apollo Crews. I wonder if we'll see any follow-up to that. Austin Theory showed off his selfie to Vince McMahon. He was very proud of himself, but Vince was not impressed. At least I don't think he was. Vince was mumbling a lot when he was talking, so it's hard to gather what he was saying, but I think Vince was not impressed. Vince said that him and Austin are not friends. Vince doesn't want any friends. And then he pulled out something. He whipped it out. It was long. It was a pencil. But the point of this was not the part that writes, but rather the part that erases. The eraser was what Vince was interested in. So I guess this was supposed to be a tease that Vince can erase Austin Theory, aka fire him like he did 80 other guys in 2021. I suppose that's what the tease was here, that Vince is going to erase Austin Theory if Theory doesn't impress him soon. Yeah, just like Jeff Hardy got erased from the t-shirt on WWE's Twitter account, Austin Theory might be next. I still don't care about this storyline whatsoever. Vince, at his age, should not be on TV, bottom line. And this storyline's just falling flat, in my opinion. Virtue says it's sad to see Vince on TV like this. I agree. We had Maurice come to the ring to introduce Miz TV. She was the host for this. And Miz came down and said that he should be in the Hall of Fame for 2022. And he had a video package shown of himself, I guess, for the Hall of Fame in 2022. They had a big toast. Edge arrived, and Edge talked about how the Miz is like a squeaky wheel that doesn't get the grease. He just keeps squeaking. And Miz needs to shut up. He said he's seen guys like Miz crash and burn before. He says the Miz overcompensates. And Edge admitted that Miz is a future Hall of Famer and will not take the match at day one lightly. He has his hands full, and he's going to have to teach Miz a lesson, though, at the pay-per-view. And Miz grabbed his champagne and threw it in the eyes of Edge, but Edge was able to recover from that. He took down the Miz. He was going to hit the spear, but then Miz pulled Maurice in front of him, and that momentary hesitation from Edge led to him getting hit with the skull-crushing finale. Maurice was not amused with this. She slapped the Miz and then walked off. So, dissension among the ranks? Or is it a swerve? Are we going to find out at day one that Maurice and Miz were working Edge this whole time, and then Miz maybe picks up a win, then Beth Phoenix comes into play, and we get a tag team match? I suppose we'll see. Segment was fine, didn't really have a problem with it. Wasn't like a great segment between these guys, but it was pretty solid. I thought it was fine. Darren does think it's going to be a swerve and thinks that maybe we've seen this Miz and Maurice segment before. Yeah, you might be right. Backstage, we had Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens giving Big E a pep talk for Big E's match against Bobby Lashley. But Big E said he does not want them anywhere near the ring. We had our main event. No DQ match. Big E pulled out a table. Lashley set up a table. We had tables all around the ring. I guess no DQ equals tables. Big E hit his splash on the apron, but then Lashley recovered, sent Big E into the ring post, and then back in the ring, Lashley suplexed, or actually gave Big E a spine buster through the table. Where's it a choke slam? He put him through the table. I forgot what he did exactly, but Lashley put Big E through the table in the ring. And then after the commercial break, Big E slammed Lashley on the steel steps on the outside of the ring, and they got back in the ring. Lashley recovered, hit the spear. However, he could not make the cover right away as Owens and Rollins got into the ring. They attacked Bobby Lashley, and then Big E went after Owens and Rollins. Owens and Rollins attacked Big E. Lashley started helping Big E, and it broke down on the outside of the ring. You had Big E choke slamming Owens through a table on the outside, and then in the ring, Lashley speared Rollins through a table, and then the match continued between Big E and Lashley. However, MVP came in with the cane from behind. He used the cane on Big E's leg, and then Lashley hit the spear to pick up the win over Big E. So yes, Big E will now defend his title against 3 people: Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins, and Bobby Lashley, who successfully went through the gauntlet, and it will now be a fatal 4-way match at the pay-per-view. Darren says, do we really want to see Lashley as champion again? I think not. At this point, I would be fine with it. Like, the Big E title run is kind of losing steam, in my opinion, but we'll see what happens. And that was Raw. I liked the main event storyline. To me, that was easily the highlight. The stuff with Bobby Lashley going for the gauntlet and trying to get the title match. Everything else was kind of lackluster, in my opinion. I guess Miz and Edge's segment with Maurice was pretty decent, but there were some bad things on the show. The Balor booking was mind-boggling. The Rhea Ripley stuff, the Austin Theory stuff, all that was thumbs down in my opinion. So very mixed bag this week. I'm going to go with a C. It had its good moments. It had its bad moments. and it kind of evened out as just an okay show. But definitely nothing to write home about. Solid C for Raw. Okay show, but really nothing you had to go out of your way to watch. Looking at the chat poll, 20% thumbs up, 23% thumbs down, 27% thumbs middle, and 30% did not watch. Darren says, I agree that Big E has run its course as champion. Mark Del Rio with a C-, CC Drink with a C, Daniel with a D-, Matt Helms with a C, The Game Is On 100 with a C-, Walter Cruz with a solid C, also or thumbs middle, and Jason Mason says he did not watch. That was Raw, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a like on YouTube. The more likes, the more it gets noticed throughout YouTube, the more people check out the video that haven't watched before. Psycho Jet Black with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Psycho Jet Black. He says, seriously, why was Liv Morgan booked like a jobber before feuding with Becky Lynch? Why didn't they try to build up her credibility with winning matches? Great question. And I think it was just a short-sighted decision. One day somebody was like, well, let's put Liv Morgan in there with Becky Lynch. People like Liv. They want to see her get a push. But yeah, should have been planned out way more in advance, and I think people would be taking Liv Morgan more seriously. It's like, I don't want to say Jinder Mahal, but it's kind of like that, where Jinder was positioned as a lower card person for so long, and then all of a sudden you go 180 and start pushing the guy, and it's hard to take him seriously. And same thing with Liv Morgan. Like, Becky was right, as I mentioned previous weeks, when Becky was cutting those promos saying that Liv Morgan hasn't done anything. Well, she's right. And that's why I think that this feud has kind of fallen flat so far. We'll see if they can pick it up for day one. Maybe Liv Morgan pulls off a surprise win. But the problem with that is you got to build somebody up. Like with Nikki Ash. They did that gimmick and had her just pretty much out of nowhere win Money in the Bank. And nobody really cared that much. Like the gimmick had not really gotten over, yet they went with her just for the sake of, oh, let's give Nikki Ash the win since some fans like her. We're gonna give her a bone, and it just didn't work. Like if they had built up Nikki Ash, Nikki Cross with a cool gimmick for 6 months and then had her win Money in the Bank and then win the title, would have been a lot more impactful. So that's my take on it. They should have done more with Liv building up to this storyline with Becky Lynch, but they did not. And yeah, it's kind of flat right now. We'll see if they can turn it around. They got 3 weeks. Maybe they'll get people to care if they come up with something interesting. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm out. If you head over to Jeff Meacham Network, you can check out his stream. He's going to be doing a tribute to Jimmy Rave. Rest in peace, Jimmy Rave. And thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate it. Take care. And I will see you all next